and welcome in to MIZ-STL on the Loot Information Station. Grant Salzman, Brendan Schaefer here with you. No Hannah Barton today. She is traveling, but that's probably okay, Brendan, because we have some mourning to do of the Missouri Tigers' perfect season.
Yeah, they didn't beat Bama, did they?
No, they lost 27-24.
That sucked. That wasn't fun. Man, they played good. They played pretty well, but they didn't play good enough.
Can I say something? I feel like both teams played like average to below average, which is what made that frustrating. Like I thought both teams played just fine, which maybe made me feel that they both played well, but I thought they both just played fine. Like I thought Mizzou's offense was bad, which is part of the reason why I say that they played just fine.
Well, I don't know that. Like again, there's defense out there trying to stop your offense. So, did Bama take things away from Missouri?
Yeah.
I think I don't agree with it. I think both teams played pretty well. Both teams made noticeable mistakes.
Yes.
And I think Mizzou maybe piled up a couple more of them than Alabama. Trying to think. Alabama had the quarterback fall down on what would have been a touchdown run, and they lose 4 yards and couldn't punch it in after that. That was a key mistake. They missed a field goal. But otherwise, nothing huge jumping out to me. Mizzou, it was penalty stuff. It was
turnovers.
They abandoned the run too much. It was the turnovers, certainly, that stick out as mistakes. And it leads to a 3-point loss. Like you had to execute to beat Alabama. I don't think as it played out, ultimately you had to have played perfect, but they had to play closer to perfect than they were.
Oh, certainly. I said this game came down to the margins, and it was the special teams was bad for Missouri. It was the turnovers. It was the penalties.
What did you like on special teams?
The punting was gross.
They just don't have a very good punter.
I agree. Yeah, and
that was annoying.
But I'm saying that sometimes the 20 yards of field position from the punting is the difference in a ball game, especially in a 3-point game.
Though. The punting, the kickoffs, it seems like the other teams at the 35 every time. So that's
it's
and
frustrating.
We know the field goal stuff is going to be what it is because you don't have your main kicker.
Yeah, that's not.
They're deficient in all of the special teams areas. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, but with the kicking, that's not me pointing at the coaching staff. I can point at the coaching staff about the punting and the kickoffs, I think.
Why is that?
Well, because they don't control that their kicker got hurt.
Right.
The punting is their control.
And they replaced the punter from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made changes, and it just isn't right now. It's not working out. But that's not the big thing. I mean, there were some other things. Look,
third downs.
Offensively, third downs was the thing I was going to bring up. 1 for 10 on third down. I believe Alabama was 6-4 or whatever.
11, I believe.
Down. I think it was like 6 for 15, but they also had 2 fourth downs, and they convert. And so when they're more than 50% on those situations, you are 1 for 10 on third downs, and I guess Mizzou goes for the fourth down on the fake punt. They don't get it. You're not going to beat most teams doing that, but certainly not Alabama.
Yeah, and championship teams, championship contenders win the margins, and that's what Alabama did. They didn't have the stupid penalties. They got the big plays when they needed it, and Missouri didn't do any of it, and they still almost won the football game. Like they almost did, Brendan. Everything that we said was a key to the game.
You can't do.
They did. They couldn't run the ball. They had dumb penalties. They had bad turnovers. They played poor in special teams. Like every single margin they lost. And if you just win one of the margins, if you just make one play, you win the game. Like it's just insane to think about.
So that's why I think Mizzou, we learned that Mizzou is like actually good. And people are going to call that, well, why are you carrying a moral victory? That's not what I'm saying. But when you beat Kansas and South Carolina, you're kind of sitting here playing the transitive property game going, okay, they beat who, but then they lost to Cincinnati. Okay, what did South Carolina do? Oh, they got popped by Vanderbilt. So how good are they really? Like, we didn't really know about those two teams, but I think we've seen enough examples of this Bama team prior to this game to know that they're pretty darn good. I don't know if they're national championship good, but they're like one of the best 10 teams in the country. Feel pretty confident in that. To beat Georgia at Georgia, to beat Vanderbilt, like,
I said that
something right.
I said I thought this Bama team was the third best team in the country.
I don't agree with that. Who do you have as number 1 and 2? And then I'll come up with some teams that I'm going to ask you about.
I will go 1 Ohio State, 2 Miami.
I'll ask you about 2 teams, 1 in the conference, 1 not. Right now, Texas A&M very impressive to me. I still need to see them play more teams like a Georgia and a Vandy, but like Texas A&M beat Notre Dame. Like, they've showed a scary ability to do it in multiple ways. Notre Dame, that game was like 41-40.
Yeah.
They handled their business against Auburn and Florida like you're supposed to. I think Auburn, Florida, similar tiers of SEC teams. But like, just like the consistency of, we see teams slip up to a Florida like Texas does. And they, they could have slipped up against Mississippi State. They've handled their business, and it's looked like it should have looked against those teams. And then you do have that Notre Dame win as a feather in your cap. Another team that I'm going to ask you about is Indiana.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm
good.
Capitulating. They're legit. They're probably, I would put them above Alabama right now. I really would.
Yeah, I think that maybe I still would take, if they played, maybe not at Indiana, but if they played on the neutral side, I'd take Alabama. So that's,
know that I would.
Where
it sounds crazy, but it's fair. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, and I don't disagree with that. A&M, I do think Alabama's the more complete team. I think they're a little above A&M, and that's really comes down to quarterback play. I mean, if they need a drive, I trust Ty Simpson more than Marcel Reed. He had a good game against Notre Dame, but other than that, he's just been kind of meh. Yeah. He's been very meh.
And A&M's a team where you would have come into the season kind of hyping up their schedule maybe a little bit, but I think it's actually gotten easier.
Oh my gosh, their schedule.
Missouri's has gotten tougher. A&M's has gotten, like, they're in the playoff for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
there's just no way they're not.
They played one team, and that's Notre Dame. Like, the only way they don't make the playoffs is somehow they lose 3 of their 4 road games. LSU, Mizzou, Texas. Yeah, and they're going to win one of those.
I don't see LSU. They've gotten worse to me. I know they're still ranked number 10. I don't buy them at all. Vanderbilt's favored this weekend over them for a reason. And Texas, I don't think is they're ranked right now, but they're ranked because they beat a top 10 Oklahoma team. I don't think Oklahoma's top 10 either. So, like, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt on some of that. A&M is the only SEC team that I feel like is a lock for the playoffs right now, because I just don't see the path to 3 losses for them, as you said. But
I don't know if I see it.
I wanted to credit Indiana because I think last year I was hating on them. They're real this year. They were fake last year. They are not fake this year.
I don't know if I see 3 losses for Bama either.
Well, it helps that they've already got 1, but let me look at their schedule. They've got 3 ranked wins at this point, so they're really looking good from a resume standpoint. Florida State looking mid, kind of hurts them a little bit. It's not even a conference. Like, Bama to Atlanta feels very, very likely at a minimum,
especially because probably their 3 toughest games left are all at home.
That's what I was going to say. They're hosting the teams that you would worry about. They host Tennessee this weekend. I don't think Tennessee, their defense can hold up to Ty Simpson, and I just don't. Yeah, I'm taking Bama in that game. Hosting LSU, hosting Oklahoma. Yep. They're in a great spot. So Alabama and A&M, they're locked for the playoffs. Everybody else, I still think has some things that they could still slip up.
I'll say this about Bama, and it'll lead us to our next point. They just better have only 1 loss going into that Iron Bowl game, because that would probably be a night game at Jordan-Hare, and you want no part in an Iron Bowl at night at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah, but I think even if you have 2 losses, it doesn't really matter.
No, I agree. I'm saying they better only have 1 going into that game, because if they have 2 losses going into that game, things could get dangerous for Bama. If they drop one of these games.
Yeah, because they could afford to lose it, like Ohio State lost to Michigan last year, and it didn't end up mattering.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, if Bama, I think Bama would still probably win that game. But to your point, like, you're not a lock.
We've seen
lock up the postseason by November 15th. If they beat Oklahoma, like they win the next 4 games, Bama's sitting there with 1 loss, and they play Eastern Illinois. You're right. They would be a lock going in.
Was it 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago, the 4th and 31 play to Isaiah Bond. I believe that was 2 years ago. And that Auburn team was bad. Like, that was a really bad Auburn team that almost knocked off a Bama team that was the fourth team in the country and made the playoffs.
I bet Bama live during that game, so I was actually excited about the 4th and 31.
That game was crazy.
They're not going to lose to this Auburn team, are they? And they almost did. So yeah, all right. We're starting to see the hierarchy come through a little bit in the SEC. Where does all this leave Mizzou? Where does this loss to Alabama, where the AP writers gave you respect, they only dropped you 2 spots? It's very funny to me. I saw a tweet where somebody was complaining Oregon dropped however many spots they dropped for losing to a top team, but Mizzou only drops a couple. And it's like, it's harder to maintain a spot when you're up as high as Oregon was. That's just the math of it.
I will say
it does speak to me that Mizzou only falls to 16.
I agree with you. Speaking of the AP people, I think it's crazy that Notre Dame is as high as they are.
It's
they've beaten nobody.
That gold helmet takes you far, man.
13th in the country with 2 losses, 2 spots above Mizzou. I understand Notre Dame's losses are really good teams. Like, if they go 10-2, they probably should be in the playoffs. But
not this high already.
At this point, Mizzou has better wins than Notre Dame does.
Yeah, and they've got a similar loss. I would say, Alabama's not top 5, but they're number 6. So Mizzou's got 1 loss to a comparable team, to the 2 teams that Notre Dame has lost to. Notre Dame hasn't beaten anybody. Mizzou really hasn't beaten anybody either, but they got 1 fewer loss. Yeah, I would have slotted Notre Dame probably right after Vanderbilt, honestly, in the ranking.
The thing is, the 2 wins Mizzou has over South Carolina and Kansas are probably better than every single team that Notre Dame's beaten. For sure, 3.
Notre Dame is
Purdue, Arkansas, Boise, and NC State.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Maybe Arkansas is better than Kansas.
No, they're not. I'm more mad about it than I was. You're right. That's garbage.
Yeah,
but here's the one thing I'll say as a saving grace. It's probably not a saving grace, but the AP poll is not the CFP.
Does not matter.
And so, like, could the CFP open up and Notre Dame is 3-4 spots lower, like they should be? Yes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a weak thing to hold on hope to, because they probably won't.
But it'll
probably mirror the AP poll.
It also doesn't matter. If Mizzou goes 10-2, they're going to get in. Like, it does.
That's what I believe. And there's like no point in debating, in my opinion, the alternative yet, because there's so many unknowns still. Not just the SEC, but other conferences. You almost have to wait till like November 1st. And then you can clearly go, okay, here's where everybody is. Here's what's left.
Yeah.
Because right now there's a lot of weekends of football to be played in October. Before we can really decide, okay, who's the 0-loss teams, who's the 1-loss teams, and what happens with them as we go forward. Like, the teams that people still think are really good, and in their brain they're like, oh yeah, Georgia probably makes playoff. Like, they've still got to win their games.
Yeah.
And it's no different from Missouri.
You asked where Mizzou is now. I said this to Vic on Monday is, now you're in 2 must-win situations. You have to beat Auburn and you have to beat Vandy. And if you do that, you have the same exact opportunity you just had against Alabama. You'll be coming off a bye, probably against a top 5, at least a top 10 team in the country. And that win could transcend your season. Maybe not as program defying as Alabama would have been, but it's a transcendent win that gets you really within touching distance of a college football playoff berth. Because I'll say this, Brennan, I don't feel good about going into Norman. I don't
do. I think they suck. I think they are not a good football team.
I don't think so either, but that is Missouri's bugaboo. And I don't know what it's going to be with Mateer. I think John Mateer is very good. I think if he's healthy, he can win a football game.
Texas does have a good defense.
Yes.
So that's the one thing that, like, we shouldn't be shocked that the game played out the way that it did.
You have to assume that if you are serious at all, if you're a serious contender at all, that you beat Miss State and Arkansas.
Yep.
So that's 2. That gets you to 7-2. Then you have to find 3 of Auburn, Vandy, A&M, Oklahoma. I don't want to go. You can't, like, if you beat Bama, you can afford to drop Auburn or Vandy, good teams on the road, and be fine.
I'm
can't.
Not talking about the playoff if Missouri drops one of these next 2 road games. Like, that's out of my lexicon for the time being, because realistically, you could still go 7-5 if you drop one of these next. Like, if you lose at Auburn, I'm not talking about how does Mizzou snake into the playoff. I'm talking about, is Mizzou covering the 7.5 win total from the preseason?
Yeah.
Like, that's the team they are at that point. You are who your record says you are.
Yep.
And so I love to talk up the hype and to get excited about what could be. But now you have to go earn it, because you had an opportunity to earn it against Bama to make the slate a little bit more manageable for yourself. You did not accomplish that.
No.
They're aware of that. Eli Drinkwitz wasn't in for moral victories either. He said, I didn't have any interest in playing Bama close. I came here to win, and we didn't get it done. So I think his mindset is correct, but you got to go beat Auburn, and then you got to go beat Vanderbilt. Those are no, like, you don't make the playoff without those 2 wins because of the loss to Alabama. To your point, if you had beaten Bama, maybe there's a margin for error. There is not anymore.
No.
Because I think the Vandy game and the Auburn game are your number 3, number 4 most difficult games remaining on the schedule. A&M and OU are number 1 and 2 in whichever order you want to place them. You can't, we've talked about it for months, Grant, where we're like, hey, playoff, it's possible this year. We can defy the odds. You start 5-0, like, that's what you're supposed to do. We hit the roadblock and didn't get around it.
Yeah.
So now it's go time, or we're going to shut up about the playoff stuff. I'm not trying to be harsh, but realistically, it's time to prove some stuff. So STP, something to prove. I'm not down and dogging on him for losing to Bama. Lots of teams have lost to Bama. But now, if we're that team that wants to hype ourselves up and be STP, let's go prove it. You absolutely win these 2 road games, or there's nothing left to talk about with this team and college football playoff. Done.
And on top of it, it's what a big win it would be. I believe it would be Mizzou's first win ever at Jordan-Hare to really prove what this team and this program is, because it would be easy. I mean, we look at Penn State, who lost to what we think is a good Oregon team by a heartbreaking overtime fashion. They come out and they lay an egg against UCLA and Northwestern, and the team's just dead. The coach is fired. But it's easy to get guys to just roll over and be upset. What a statement this would make from the program, from Eli Drinkwitz, from everyone involved of, hey, we went out and we beat maybe a team at one of the toughest atmospheres in college football, then a really good Vandy team. And look at us. Look where we're at again. Like, we didn't wallow in our pity and our sorrow. You know what I mean? Like, we were able to get back up, turn the page, and win this football game. And I think that is the opportunity they have against Auburn on Saturday.
I agree with you. And I think we could. We're not going to just grant this to them and say, here you go, this is what you did. But this could be what we look back on as South Carolina in 2013.
Yep.
Absolutely gut-wrenching loss at home against a good team. But Bama's probably even a better team than that Carolina team was. Definitely is. Like, that type of loss, what do you do with that? Do you go the way of Penn State, or do you go the way of what your program did in 2013 and you end up using that as fuel to get somewhere and to unlock a real ceiling for yourself? That's exactly what they have in front of them on Saturday. You mentioned not ever having won at Auburn. I was like, I wonder. The only game they ever played at Auburn at Jordan-Hare was the
touchback game,
the Nate Peat game. Yeah. I didn't even realize that. They hadn't even played there till 2022 because of the way the schedules go. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is insane. And obviously you went in really dramatic fashion last year on homecoming.
Right, at home.
What would you say is a tougher game, at Auburn or at Vandy for Mizzou right now?
It's at Auburn,
yes.
Not because Auburn's the better team, but because it's still that kind of era of, hey, it's the first road game. Because we know that last year Texas A&M was good, but they weren't top 10 good. And Mizzou treated them like they were number 1 in the country when they went to College Station. The first road game, they got popped. They had no business even being on the same field with them. And that's not how the game started, actually. Like, it was that Luther Burden touchdown gets called back for penalty, and it's like Mizzou wilted like a dead flower. They just had nothing in the tank at that point. You've got to be more mentally tough than that. And I think Drink knows that, he didn't have them prepared in a variety of ways last year, didn't know what quarterback they were facing, didn't have just that toughness mentality permeate the team the way it needed to overcome some early obstacles. You feel like the refs are out to get you, like stuff like that. You cannot on the road start having those type of thoughts early in a game. And I think they did last year. Mm-hmm. So that's why Auburn is an interesting team, Grant, because they have shown nothing that to say they're good, like very South Carolina in that way, where like, you're a middle of the SEC type of team is how we feel about you. But then you look at the SEC, and actually the first 8 or 9 or 10 teams in the conference are actually really pretty good. And so they're more like an 11th or 12th best in the SEC, but they're in that kind of Florida category. But Florida has now picked somebody off, right? They beat Texas. Auburn feels like Florida, where there's going to be one of those teams that they pick off. But what could happen to them when we're talking about this mental toughness category is they've played 3 good teams in a row, and they've fallen just a little bit short.
Yeah.
2 on the road, you lose by a possession. You get some bad calls against you in the Oklahoma game in particular. Lose at A&M. That's a tough place to go and only lose by 6, as we found out last year. So that shows something about Auburn. And Georgia, man, they had them, and then they wilted. Right?
Yes.
Oh, we didn't get the call on Jackson Arnold's touchdown. It's a fumble. We're up 10-0. We lose, 20-10. They didn't score the rest of that football game. So if you start fast on this Auburn team, I think they might not be at their apex of mental fortitude and toughness. This is an opportunity. You need to go and win this game probably by double digits. You could win it close, but I want to see Mizzou come out swinging and show that, all right, Vandy's a better team than the one we're facing this Saturday, but we got to win this one and then show that we can go elsewhere and beat a ranked opponent. Don't let Vandy pick you off, or excuse me, Auburn. Don't let you be the victim of Auburn finally picking somebody off.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment, especially I think Jordan-Hare is obviously a tougher place to play than Vandy. Like, the Vandy game will be 30 to 40% Mizzou fans will be at that game in that stadium. Like,
and I'll be 8 rows behind the Missouri bench, and I am fired up.
Drinky's gonna hear you. I'm
going?
TBD.
Come on.
TBD.
Dude,
TBD.
You gotta get down there. We'll have some fun.
Yeah,
we'll have some fun.
Maybe if Dave Green sends me.
That was not subtle at all. You gotta pitch yourself. You're like, here's what I can bring to the table. Here's what I can do for you.
If Mizzou loses this game against Auburn, the pitch is probably yeah. But if they win, then it's this one loss team. Yeah. So we'll see.
Can Vandy get game day, or is that
probably not?
I'm so over the game day.
Yeah, I don't care.
By the way, people are like, hey, A&M, you could get game. Like, I do not care. Let's win some road games first.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do beat Auburn, I'd be curious, where things are. Vanderbilt has obviously, fallen off a little bit when you lose that game to Bama, but hey, so did we.
So that Vandy game will be easier just because you won't have to deal with the noise as much. Like, it'll be more operatable, even though Vandy's probably a better team. I'll say this about Auburn is like Hugh Freeze is kind of a weak coach, which kind of gives the weak, like just his personality of complaining and stuff. Like, I feel like he kind of folds easily, which on top of it, Auburn folds easily with their team.
Tough team is going to win this football game.
And Auburn,
absolutely.
Auburn has a lot of talent on defense. A lot, but they're going through some weird stuff. Their backup running back, who was getting a lot of touches, just left the team. Like, they're down 3 running backs, I believe. And on top of it, like, Cam Coleman is a beast at receiver, but Jackson Arnold's just a bad quarterback.
We know how to beat Jackson Arnold. We have seen it.
He's bad, Brendan. I think
he's not bad. But he's, by SEC standard, he's not the best we've seen.
No,
he's not in the top half of what we will have seen. I'm taking Sellers over him. I'm taking Ty Simpson over him. I'll take Mateer over him. I'll take Pavia over him. He's like Blake Shapen tier, where Blake Shapen, might be better than Arnold.
Yeah,
Arnold's got some talent. He can
move
on a given day, but there are ways to beat him. And I think Mizzou's defensive staff executed a game plan against him last season when he was with Oklahoma, and I think you need to harken back to that, tune it, and roll it back once again, because you can take him out of his element if you do your job. Yeah, and pressure him. I mean, he fumbled the game away against Mizzou last year, but we've seen a lot of turnover issues with Jackson Arnold this year. His legs are dangerous, especially in the red zone. That's probably his best trait, is running the ball. Yep. But yeah, if you can pressure him, you have a chance. Good job of hemming in those running quarterbacks.
Yes.
Sellers and Jalen Daniels have not. And by the way, I would take Jalen Daniels over Arnold as well.
Yes,
those guys
100%.
Didn't totally kill you with their legs.
No,
and that's that. So I'm confident in the game plan against Jackson Arnold. I'm confident in the run defense to hem in whatever running backs remain. You mentioned the one that was the team captain who didn't get the playing time he was hoping for, and so he leaves.
His redshirting.
He probably wanted a red shirt. They kicked him out of the program and said he wasn't meeting the expectations of the program, which I think is fair. Like, in this era, that guys have only played 4 games. They might want to maintain that red shirt, but He's a team captain.
Yeah.
And so does that speak to some inner turmoil going on with this Auburn program right now, where like they're ripe for the picking if you stomp on their throats early?
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do at Jordan Hare at night. I get that. But like I said, they've fallen short in 3 straight games. At what point do you just accept as a team that you're like, yeah, we're not very good this year? Like they'll be fired up to begin the game. Make them think by the end of the first quarter that they're not very good this year.
Yeah.
That is such a key to this. But we'll see.
I'm a fan of getting the ball first again. Go put up. You've been good in scripted drives.
Auburn's a good defense, though.
Go score.
I get you. You're right about that, though. The scripted nature of it. Auburn is ranked 14th in adjusted defensive efficiency.
They're really
the
good.
FBI. Alabama 17th, though, and you walked right over Alabama in that first drive. So that's the one thing Kirby Moore has done that I can't really say I have anything negative to say about it. The scripted drives have been very good.
Let's go to a quick break, come back, talk about how Missouri's offense can succeed against a good defense like Auburn, and get you up to date with some other things going around in the SEC, including Brendan's favorite pick of the weekend, flopping majorly. All that and more on the Lou Information Station. This is MIZ-STL. We'll be right back.
Take Central 2.0.
Now, as you sports fans know,
it's really getting out of hand, man. It's blown way out of control.
With Cam Jansen.
I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks.
And Jimmy the Cat Hayes.
You're a legend in the city, moving by day instead of night.
Weekday mornings from 8 to 10.
hell yeah.
Only on the Lou Information Station. Streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. Hot Take Central 2.0.
This whole situation is getting out of control.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-298-0306. 800-298-0306. 800-298-0306. That's 800-298-0306.
LouInfo.com news headlines. Brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. GetBC.com.
From the LouInfo.com newsroom, I'm Jared Sorello. The sheriff of St. Louis is now in jail. Sheriff Alfred Montgomery was ordered to jail Tuesday after his bond for a charge in August was revoked in federal court. A new federal indictment was unsealed against Montgomery last week, accusing him of witness tampering and retaliation. He had been placed under house arrest, but a judge said it was no longer possible to properly supervise him at home. An off-duty St. Louis police officer who allegedly hit a scooter driver earlier this month was reportedly arrested after the crash. State officials say Officer Chris Murray refused a breathalyzer at the scene of the wreck October 1st, and they are now seeking to revoke his law enforcement license. A St. Louis County high school student was removed by officers yesterday after he allegedly brought a loaded gun on campus. Officials said the student at Parkway West High School was found by staff in possession of the loaded gun. You're up to date. I'm Jared Sorello.
Now, LouInfo.com weather. Presented by STL Sports Central. St. Louis sports. Anytime, anywhere.
Here's your LouInfo.com weather update. We'll be staying dry and warm for the next few days. Mid-80s on the afternoon high today with a really big high-pressure system covering our area. Lots of sunshine and the wind will stay light. Overnight will be clear with low 60s, and then we get low 80s for the high on Thursday and sunny. A little bit more cloud cover on Friday, mid-80s. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton for the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com.
Hey, Kat, summer's winding down, but I keep thinking, my backyard is weak, man. I need a pool and maybe even a fire pit.
Cam, you know who can handle that? Merrimack Pools and Outdoors. They're a family-owned St. Louis company, been doing this for 25
You do more than just pools, right?
Oh, yeah. Patios, outdoor kitchens, sport courts, fire features, the whole outdoor package. They'll design it, build it, and make it look amazing.
That sounds like trouble for my neighbors when I start hosting barbecues with the boys.
Exactly. And here's the best part. Free consultations, smart pool features like LED lighting and spa integration, financing options, and they back it all with a lifetime manufacturer warranty.
That's legit. And you know I like local. They're licensed, insured, bonded, and based right here in St. Louis.
If you want the ultimate backyard, head to SplashSTL.com.
Hit up SplashSTL.com for more information and receive a free salt cell included in your package. A $2,000 value. SplashSTL.com.
Buddy.
What do you say, buddy?
Man, life comes at you fast. 1 minute you're cruising home, the next flashing lights in your rear view.
And that's when you need backup. With the Legal Buddy app, you can connect to a local attorney in seconds.
Seconds? Not waiting days for a callback?
Nope, right away. DWI, car accident, criminal charge, traffic ticket, Legal Buddy's got your back.
So it's like having a lawyer in your pocket.
Exactly. Someone ready to step in the moment you need them, no matter the situation.
That's peace of mind.
That's Legal Buddy.
We're always going to be buddies, right?
All right, where do I get this?
Just download the Legal Buddy app at LegalBuddyApp.com. Register and use code LEGAL for your chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card.
Nice. Tickets, accidents, legal trouble, you're covered.
The Legal Buddy app, always on your side. Download it today. Enter code LEGAL for your chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card.
Buddy, it don't get much better than this.
Yep.
Back here on MIZ-STL on the Loot Information Station. I'm Grant Salzman. He's Brendan Schaefer. And we were talking about the Missouri Tigers before the break. Obviously, their tough loss to Alabama in their big game against Auburn. So, Brendan, how does Missouri find a way to move the ball a little more efficiently against Alabama? Because if you think about their drives, it was obviously cut through the Bama defense like a hot knife through butter that first drive. Just easy, seamless. Looked like they could score 100 points that day if they wanted to. Then it was painful. At the end of the first half, they get the kind of hurry up, big run, end up kicking a field goal, 17-10. They get a 25-yard touchdown drive thanks to the Zion Young strip sack. And then after that, it was basically nothing until you have a hurry up touchdown at the end of the fourth quarter that Bama was kind of playing prevent on and trying to just take up some clock. How do they make it a little easier and a little more efficient against Auburn?
Yeah, I mean, you just need to convert more third downs to keep the football and be able to get into the rhythm of your offense a little bit more. Because, I mean, you take away that first drive, which was very easy. Everything else was very difficult and a lot of quick stall outs that, you know, my complaint was didn't run the ball enough. And Drinks kind of pointed to that in his press conference yesterday. And I know Gabe DeArmond wrote about it, and I think it's all right and relevant. It's like they just didn't have the ball enough to really be able to get into their rhythm. There were a couple of situational moments, like two in the fourth quarter or second half overall, where I would point to and say should have involved the running back there and didn't. But aside from that, you just didn't really have enough of the opportunity because you were so quick and inefficient on third down. So it's just execution, man. It's executing those spots. You can think of the 3rd and 2 where, you know, they try to fit it into Norfleet and
run.
It's a drop. That's where I would have run the ball. And they didn't even have a running back in the backfield. So, like, I disagree with that. Whatever it was around 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, that series, they didn't run the ball on first down or at all. And then
after the missed field goal.
Yep. And that would have been the perfect time to kind of pull out that South Carolina drive where they churned a bunch of clock and played keep away. And they weren't looking to do that. Now, I think Kirby Moore was probably thinking, man, we've gotten stopped on some of these first down runs where we're going to get into some predictable, you know, 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Let's try to get the short passing game going. And they just didn't execute those plays. And so I was harsh with my description of it during the game because I really felt like if you're going to lose the game to Bama, I would love to at least know that you tried your best player. And I felt they didn't do that. Was it harder to do in retrospect, just understanding that there were limitations on how often they did have the football? Yes, but ultimately I would be force feeding the run against Auburn and understanding that the third down execution has to be better, because if you run it on first and second down, you're not going to be in much longer of a situation than 3rd and 6. You're just not often. And if you are, then okay, execute the 3rd and 8. You know, but I would be pretty stubborn about that. And Jamal Roberts probably should see more carries too. The ratio was okay. It was 12 carries to 5, but one of Roberts' carries was on the fake punt. So I would, I would mix those guys, and I would make sure that the two of them are getting at least 25 plus combined carries, probably more. And 17 was not nearly enough. I understand it. You didn't have the football, but I would be stubborn about the run. And Donovan Olubade wouldn't leave the field until he needs a drink of water. It's just, it's to the point in the season where I get it. In the beginning of it, he's a true freshman, and so you've got guys that are capable. Who should sit instead of him? Brendan, you're gonna have to sit somebody. You pick. I don't give a damn.
They rotate so much anyway. You don't have to sit anyone.
No, I think he needs to be on the field as much as anybody. He's a playmaker. He didn't get his head around for that last pass that ended up in an interception. I don't care. He is somebody that can elevate your offense, can help you move the ball down the field. I'm sure Coleman played a nice game. I didn't see him. Marquise Johnson was open a couple of times where Bo didn't see him, but Marquise Johnson did make a huge impact. I would Olubade, Norfleet. Those are my guys that I would want to see targeted more and on the field as much as possible. I understand with the offensive line, you need to make sure that you're blocking successfully. So the tight ends sometimes have to be assigned to those roles. But yeah, for me, Olubade needs to be out there and give him the football, because I think he can be a playmaker for you.
Yeah, I do think Kevin Coleman was a little banged up. He got banged up on a punt return, I think.
If that's true, don't have him return punts. If that's a possibility, I don't see the upside in it at this point in time. Get somebody back there with sure hands, fair catch every single one, and live to fight another day. But if there's anybody banged up, don't force feed that player onto the football field instead of Donovan Olubade. It's that simple for me. But the run game is number one. That's sort of that pass game stuff that I'm talking about is ancillary.
I'll say this real quick about the pass game. Bo did not play well. He missed some throws, but also there was nobody open. I was down there on the field. There was no separation. There was no separation with any of the receivers. And it leads me to the thought of are there any good route runners on this team? Kevin Coleman's supposed to be that guy that, if his route is a 4-yard slant, you're going to get it to him on the 4-yard slant because he's going to be open. He is going to make that corner, just get enough separation. I don't think it's crazy to say the best route runner on this team might be Brett Norfleet, which is not good for your 6'6" tight end, however tall he is, to be your best route runner. I don't know. I don't see a lot of Missouri players get separation. I haven't seen that really under Kirby Moore or Elijah Drinkowitz is really, really good route runners. And I know you'll say, whoa, you had Luther Burden. I don't know if Luther Burden was really that great of a route runner. He was just, you throw him the ball and he's open.
He wasn't asked to really.
No, exactly. He didn't need to run routes. He was good enough that just get open and we'll throw you the ball.
They scheme stuff open and they roll that short passing game. And a lot of times the scheme allows for guys to be open.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to speak that I have a ranking of the route runners, but I don't even think it's really a huge point of emphasis for the way this offense goes, that it has to be that you have these great route runners.
I agree.
They've got talent in the wide receiver room. I just think Olubade probably is I'm not going to say he's the most complete receiver on the team because he's just a true freshman, but he's got the highest upside in my opinion.
He's very good.
If I were to say who's going to be an NFL receiver, I would be most confident to say that it's going to be Olubade.
Oh, without a doubt.
Over Marquise and over Coleman. But that doesn't, you have to balance that with the guy being new. Does he have a full route tree that they're comfortable with him running? All of those things. We'll see. We're going to find out as time goes along if they're going to ramp that up at all. And Drink on Tiger Talk last night, I said we got to get him on the field more, I think is what I saw him say.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like he sees what we see.
All right. Well, let's move on a little bit from Missouri as we will talk more about them on Friday's edition of MIZ-STL. There's a lot of coaching buzz around college football, around the SEC.
Yeah.
James Franklin gets fired. Obviously, Elijah Drinkwitz, his name is in that pot for, could they hire him? Arkansas's position is open. Apparently, Kirby Moore interviewed for that, which Elijah Drinkwitz called bogus. I still think he probably did interview for it, but that's just me. And there's a rumor that you just saw on Twitter, Brendan. Not a rumor, I guess a report that Billy Napier could be fired as soon as this weekend.
Yeah, it's coming out from a number of different spots now that athletic director Scott Strickland at Florida met with a handful of influential boosters on Tuesday and was told continuing financial support depends on a new direction within the football program. So basically, it sounds like Billy Napier's goose is cooked, if that's to be believed, which is very interesting to me that it comes out now, because what Billy Napier's teams often tend to do is, lose a couple of games and then they'll win a real big one, right? They beat Texas and like that was like, all right. But then, you lay an egg against A&M, which again, that's a top 5 team in the country. But you got a lot of those type of teams on your schedule when you play in the SEC. And if you're Florida, the expectations should be higher.
Yes.
This weekend, Florida plays Mississippi State at home. They're going to win that game. But if you then wait another weekend and they beat Georgia in the cocktail party, then it's like, oh, we got to keep him.
Yeah.
And the boosters are like, we don't want to keep him. You almost have to fire him before the Georgia game in order to not get suckered back into it again, because I think that's kind of what happened last year, right? He had some big wins toward the end of the season, and by the end of it all, you're like, oh, we're turning the corner. And then this season starts the way that it does. Florida's got 3 losses right now. Even if they beat Mississippi State and Georgia, you got to win out to go 9-3. You're probably not even making the playoff at that point, even with the tough schedule they have. So, yeah, his goose could be cooked, which would mean, and look, I think if Mizzou wins by 10 at Auburn, Hugh Freeze doesn't last to next Saturday either. I think he's fired after this game if Mizzou wins big. If it's close, maybe not. But I think if Mizzou goes in there and just hands them one, I think Hugh Freeze is gone before he coaches another game, which gets really interesting because I think Auburn's a pretty good job. Florida's a pretty good job. UCLA's out there. Arkansas is out there. I think Penn State is actually the job that Eli Drinkwitz would leave for if there is one.
Really?
Yes. I don't really worry as much about Florida. Auburn, I would say I would worry more about than Florida because he's just got ties to Auburn from previously different people. He's, you know what I mean? So that one's a little bit scarier, and it matches his experience in the Southeast. I think would vibe with that. The Florida one, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like it's just not a given that, Florida's just an automatic great job. We know that Drink is making $9 million. He's tied for 10th in the country in salary. His most recent contract extension it allocated more funds to his assistant coaching pool to be able to pay them more. But he didn't get an increase on that additional year that they tacked on. Could have. I don't feel like that was just a priority. I don't think that if Drink leaves, it's because of money that Mizzou wasn't willing to pay him enough. The money is not going to be the impediment. It's going to be a personal decision to do whatever that man wants to do in his life. Penn State is actually the one that scares me. And I know that Drink, he wasn't asked specifically about the Penn State job when Gabe DeArmond kind of inspired that long quote from Drink yesterday in the press conference, but was just asked about the coaching carousel. He mentioned Kirby Moore didn't interview for Arkansas. That's a bunch of bull crap. Twitter's not a real place, all that good stuff. The Penn State thing, I think, is interesting. And there's obviously a lot of people talking about it and trying to dot connect on Twitter about it. That's really all it is at this point. On the Penn State message boards, they think Drink's a candidate. That there's interest there, but they also probably want Matt Rule. I mean, that's a guy who played for Penn State, and so there might be some. You're shaking your head. No love for Matt Rule.
I don't think they want Matt Rule. I think that the higher ups might want Matt Rule, but I think the fans would hate having Matt Rule.
That's not what I've heard.
Really? That's what I've seen
on their message boards, but I'm not reading them all, so I can't really know for sure.
I think the big thing is it'd be so funny. You fire a guy that can't win the big game, and then you hire a guy, and guess what? He's been known not really to do win the big game. No, I'm talking about Rule.
Oh, I'm talking about Drink too.
Well, both of them.
Well, here's the thing. Rule, you're 100% right. Drink won the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
But when you look at the conference teams that he's beaten during this run, Tennessee was the one that's probably the most impressive, 36-7. But road games, they've won the road games that they are supposed to, but they haven't and look, I think by the end of this year, we're having a different conversation than this, but if they go 7-5 this year, it's because they couldn't beat the good teams.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where it really ends up getting interesting. But I'll say this, man. If I were thinking like Drink thinks, well, I don't know how he thinks, but when we saw that SEC schedule revealed for 26 through 29 with 9 games and the look on his face, man, I just wonder if it's like, if Penn State is almost literally the perfect crime where you can, like, because if anybody leaves the SEC for another conference, you'd be like, why are they doing that? I mean, the SEC is the place to be, but also if you're at Missouri, you'll never be looked at as, you know, the Alabamas or the Georgias or the LSUs, or, you know, Oklahomas, Tennessees, Texases. You're kind of accepting that, like, prestige wise, you're 6th or 7th at best when you build it up. The idea that in the Big Ten it's a little more isolated, like you got to find a way to beat the big bad Ohio State, beat the big bad Oregon, Michigan when they're up, and that's really you know, USC's around, but they haven't been the same recently. And you've got, it's 18 teams in the Big Ten, not 16.
And they all suck besides 5 of them.
The 12 of those teams are just utter garbage or mediocre to utter garbage. And like, you've got multiples of the other garbage tier. There's not a Purdue in the SEC. And the Big Ten's
Kentucky.
got 3 or 4 of them. No, not even Kentucky. Right now, there's Kentucky is down. Look at Kentucky. Like, let's look back beyond the last 2-3 years.
They had back-to-back 10-win seasons.
Yeah, Purdue is never doing that. All due respect to Barry Odom. There are multiple Purdues in that conference, and it's a bigger conference. So, like, you can't even play the game of comparing the best team in the SEC to the Big Ten's best team, and then go down the list 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 16. Because if you do that, you've got 2 dog crap programs at 17 and 18 in the Big Ten that don't even line up against anybody.
No.
The bye weeks in the Big Ten are so much more prevalent. And I'm just talking real. I don't care what
You're right.
Big Ten who comes in and says, well, you have to play Wisconsin. No, stop it. Stop it. The Big Ten is a joke compared to the SEC from teams 5 through 16, 5 through the bottom. It's not remotely the same. Penn State is that unique situation where they do have prestige. They're not like, the same knock on them is like, oh, they're not Ohio State. They're not Oregon.
I'd put them above Oregon, like prestige wise, all time.
I wouldn't. Well, all time maybe, but like
last 20 years, no.
Yeah, but like that's where it gets interesting because their fan base is ready built. It's like it's cookie cutter. If I'm somebody coming in, I don't have to build it up. I've got their support 100,000 deep to every home game. You know, the facilities have been built up. James Franklin worked and fought for a lot of that. So it's like, it's not to say that Drink can't build a program. He's literally doing that at Missouri, but to get paid, probably get a huge pay raise. You're probably one of the top 5 salaried coaches in college football. If Drink is offered that job, man, I don't know. I think it's the perfect crime to be able to lead the SEC without looking like a coward, because it's like, you took the Penn State job. That's a very prestigious gig. And if that happens where Mizzou goes, say, 9-3 this year, but they beat Auburn, they beat Vandy, they beat Arkansas, and they beat Mississippi State to get to 9-3, Drink could have left the SEC without really ever having won that type of conference game.
Yeah.
And goes to and like, it's the perfect crime, man. I'm not saying Drink can't win at Mizzou. I think he will. I just hope he doesn't think, oh, you know, again, he's the one that's coming out with the big ideas for how the college football playoff should change to incorporate half the SEC with like a play-in round. Why would you feel that way? Because you know that at Missouri, you're beholden to a committee. You're beholden to some things that are not necessarily equitable. And so it's a lot more attainable to be a really good program, get 7th in the SEC, and win a play-in game. One game, you've got access to a playoff.
Yeah.
At Penn State, you're easy street, man, compared to what it would be like at Mizzou. And that's my concern when it comes to this job. People on Twitter that are Penn State fans are talking about it. Nobody else that I've talked to from Mizzou land thinks it's realistic as a possibility.
You've made a lot of good points, though.
For the reasons that I laid out, I think it's something to watch. But Drink doesn't want us to talk about that, understandably. I wouldn't either if I were him. And I think the perception can't be anything about that. It has to be on
No.
Auburn, and that's what he's focused on.
Yeah.
Drink is 1,000%. But don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't think he has his eyes on Penn State. But I think Penn State would have his eyes on him, and I think it would be a match. And by the way, Bo Perbula, Matt Zollers would go right there with him, and so it would be as painful as anything that's ever happened to Mizzou if it happened.
I think the funniest.
I'd be adding fuel there because it's not based on anything factual. It's based on like reading tea leaves.
I think the funniest case scenario would be Elijah Drinkwitz plans to bring a quarterback with him, and it's Sam Horn. He doesn't bring Bo back. He brings Sam Horn.
Sam Horn, but he got hurt. No,
that was. I like Zollers would be gone, yes, and other guys probably too. The reason I wouldn't.
They would need a transfer quarterback. They would have that Drew Mestemaker would be their quarterback because they'd hire North Texas coach Eric Morris, and he'd bring him with him. That's all I've got.
I think
this is all like pie in the sky stuff.
If he left, I would trust Mizzou to hire someone.
I agree.
Like I would I wouldn't. I would be. It would suck, but I wouldn't be pressing the panic button.
Mizzou, if Drink decided to leave for any job, because again, Auburn's going to probably want him. Like I think Drink's very good, and so that's why his name's going to be involved in a lot of this. But if that happened, Mizzou administration isn't suddenly going to wake up and go, all right, we don't care about football anymore.
Yeah.
No, they've built, like Drink is responsible for building this up and getting the support. But now the money's there, and I think people in the administration can see the path. And so you just hire the next coach that could potentially bring you there. But I hope it's Drink. I hope he never leaves. It's not going to be because of money, because Mizzou will match any offer. I am convinced of that. So if he wants to leave, it's for other reasons. And we just cross that bridge when we get to it. It's not something that should be front of mind right now, but it's as more jobs open up, the chatter is only going to get louder because I do believe Drink beats Auburn, beats Vandy. And then we're going into that A&M game as a top 12 team, top 14 team, where A&M is ranked in the top 4. And you win that game, you're vaulted into the top 10. That's what's coming from Mizzou, because I think Drink is focused on the right things. I hate to talk about this stuff because I don't know, what it is that's going on in his head. Actually, I do. He's focused on Auburn.
I think so too.
But if you're Penn State, why wouldn't you be focused on him? He's a really good coach.
I think the coach that will be focused on Penn State is Matt Rule. I think he is.
I would love Matt Rule to be hired, but the problem is it's October 15th.
Yeah.
And there's a whole season left to be played before we know. So it's going to get uncomfortable.
It will.
It really is.
All right. For Brennan Schaefer, I'm Grant Salzman. This was MIZ-STL. We're going to come back Friday, talk more about Mizzou against Auburn, talk more about the SEC, and give you our picks for the weekend. This is the Lou Information Station. Stay tuned for Charlie Tuna and the Posse coming up next.
Fast Track Auto Transport has been a trusted leader in vehicle shipping for over